And welcome back to What's Going On Seville. We have our very, very first guest of the show, Miss Susanne Kogut.
Thank you.
Animal advocate, savvy businesswoman, executive director of the Charlottesville Albemarle.
Correct,
SPCA.
absolutely.
And I think she has some friends with her today.
I did. I brought my two little buddies here. I brought Chico and Casper. And I brought them both because they've become BFFs while at the SPCA. And we actually, it's funny, we actually have what we call a BFF adoption special for, you know, pairs that come in together, which we'd like to keep together. These guys didn't come in together. They actually came from two very different situations, but together at the SPCA, they've become BFFs. So, which means if someone wanted to adopt one, they would pay the adoption price of, or both of them. They would just pay the price for one of them and get to take both. Absolutely.
Oh.
Best friends forever. Look at those faces. How could you resist, right?
So which one is which?
This is Chico.
Chico.
And this is Casper, both little male Chihuahuas. And Chico actually came from a situation with a family that had a very large number of animals and couldn't care for them, and animal control had brought them in from a neglect situation. And Casper was a stray, but he's, you know, they're both a little bit shy, probably not for a real active household, but if you're just looking for some company and having these guys hang out with you, yeah, they're great.
They're really cute.
Wonderful. How often does that happen where two dogs from completely different situations end up as BFFs?
Well, you know, we kennel a lot of animals together. Especially dogs, and you know, in the old sort of sheltering philosophy, you didn't put anything with, everyone had to stay separate. But actually, dogs are very social animals, and they like to be with a friend. So because we do kennel them together, it actually happens quite often. You know, they're used to being with each other. They go out and play together. These two just curl up together.
It's really awesome to see. Well, we certainly know about the advantage of having BFF because we actually adopted a puppy from you, Susanne, named Emma.
Yeah.
And Emma loves dogs and would have really benefited from a BFF, but right now she's a bit of a handful on her own. But we love her. We love her. In fact, I think we have a photo of her as well. She's very, very cute.
Yeah.
Well, I would love to know a little more about you. You have a really interesting background. Your career wasn't always for the dogs, was it?
No. My career was, well, I was a corporate securities attorney and then a business person business manager for Capital One.
Wow.
So I worked for a credit card and financial institution for a very long time. I sort of say it's what I did with the second half of my life. I decided that it was a wonderful career. I am very thankful to have that type of professional experience and bring it to the world of animal welfare and really to help animals, because a lot of times that doesn't exist. So I actually took some time off and really sort of researched what I wanted to do with the second half of my life, and really took some time to reflect, and it was to help animals.
It was to help animals. Was there one specific inspiration that took you in the direction of animals?
You know, well, actually, yes, of course. And it was a dog that I had, you know, for about 10 years. And it was when he passed away and I started looking at getting another dog. I have to say, you know, quite frankly, I was clueless at the fact that so many animals were being euthanized in shelters throughout the country, and that the organizations that were set up to be sort of a safe harbor and help the animals were actually the ones that were euthanizing and in fact killing the animals. So when I learned of that, it was a little bit overwhelming. But I met this one woman who was a very humble woman out in New Mexico that worked with animals, and I had made a statement about how overwhelming this all was, and she just looked at me and said, "You know what? You don't have the luxury of being overwhelmed. The animals need your help. So if you care, you'll get up and do something." I mean, like,
goodness.
You know, that was a kick along the path of, you know, okay, stop worrying about me and start helping the animals, right?
That's great.
Yeah, it really is. I thank her a lot for doing that, because who knows, you know?
Absolutely.
So the Charlottesville Albemarle SPCA was already here before you took over, and you made some changes when you came in.
Yeah, I did. They had been here for a long time. And when I first came over, they were, I give their board a lot of credit, because I'll tell you, I applied for jobs all over the place, and everyone kept saying, "Oh, you don't have any experience." And it was the board of the Charlottesville Albemarle SPCA that realized what we needed was management experience and not someone who had been sort of entrenched in the old way of doing things. You know, what's the definition of insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and expecting different results. That's actually, to some extent, still what happens in a lot of places. And it was what was happening at the Charlottesville Albemarle SPCA. You know, it was a lot of everyone with just a lot of excuses. You know, there's too many animals and not enough homes. We can't do this because it won't. Everything was very negative. And so really, I think the biggest change that I think maybe I brought on was a different change in attitude and perception about what could be done. You know, because if you sit around saying, I can't do something, and that's all you talk about is what you can't do, guess what? You actually won't do anything then, if that's your mindset. So if your mindset is we can, and how are we going to do it? It's about solutions and not excuses. I think that approach itself is what makes all the difference, and then getting the right people to sort of move forward with that approach. And that's what we did.
That's wonderful. That's really good advice, you know. Find solutions, move forward, get the people around you that can make it happen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Sure, really positive, not the negative, you know.
I bet they were very happy to get you. So was that the main reason you chose Charlottesville?
Well, they gave me a job.
So we're lucky that they gave you that job. Right,
That was one, and actually there was one other place that I was looking for, but I think the need was greater in Charlottesville, and I think I wanted more of a challenge. I wanted to do something where we could make a tremendous difference and prove that, you know, that you could do it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you have changed quite a bit about the SPCA. I think was it your responsibility to change it into a no-kill shelter, or your choice, or your decision to do that?
Absolutely. I mean, I was very. I didn't. I mean, I couldn't actually go and take a job that said, oh, you know, our goal is to continue to kill animals. Right. Our goal, and it had to be, was to make this a no-kill community. And I always talk about community too, because so often. When I talk to people about no-kill shelters, everyone says, oh, well, you know, we have one in our community. Well, and that often is the case, but sometimes then there's another shelter that still that is euthanizing the animals, so people just don't take them in and they go somewhere else to be euthanized. We're a community, meaning we are the only place in our community that takes in animals, and we are a no-kill community. And what it means, too, is not that we don't ever euthanize an animal. Sometimes, if an animal is very sick or very aggressive, we would do that. But because there's a reason for it, and it's the right thing to do in those circumstances. But we save 90% of the animals that come in our community. And it's really unheard of around the nation. There's a few other places that have achieved it, but I think it's actually the way of the future.
And do you think you're a model for those other organizations?
Oh, absolutely. I spend a lot of time actually working with other organizations now, speaking at conferences, and actually trying to, you know, help other organizations replicate what we've done here. And there's a great desire for it. I actually got a call from someone recently to do a webinar in Australia. So It's not only here, we're reaching out. So that's really our goal now.